Hello everyone, I'm Vikram P. Maduri here. I'm a software architect, and in this session, I'm going to discuss with you all the blockchain FAQs. Welcome to J at Softech, and let's start. So, what do you know about blockchain? This is the first question. The blockchain is a centralized distributed database of immutable records. The technology was discovered with the invention of bitcoins, the first cryptocurrency. It's a trusted approach, and there are a lot of companies in the present scenario which are using it. As everything is secure and because it's an open source approach, it can easily be trusted in the long run. What is the principle on which blockchain technology is based on? It enables the information to be distributed among the users without being copied. So that's a basic principle. What are the different types of blockchains? Blockchains are three types: public, consortium, and private. Why is blockchain a trusted approach? Blockchain can be trusted due to so many reasons. Its compatibility with other business applications due to its open source nature, its security, as it was meant for online transactions. The developers have paid special attention to keeping up the pace with when it comes to its security. It really doesn't matter what type of business one owns, blockchain can easily be considered. Name the two types of records that are presented in blockchain database. These records are like block records and transactional records. Both these records can easily be accessed, and the best thing is it is possible to integrate them with each other without following the complex algorithms. So the two types of records are block records and transactional records. Blockchain is distributed database. How does it differ from traditional databases? We have various properties in blockchain and the traditional databases. When it comes to operations, only inset operations can work in blockchains. Traditional database can perform CRUD operations. In replication, full replication of block on every peer. Whereas in traditional database, we have master, slave, multi-master. In consensus, we have majority of peers agree on the outcome of transactions. And in traditional database, we have distributed transactions, two-phase commit. Invariance, we have in blockchain, we have anybody can validate transactions across the network. In traditional database, we have no invariance. What are the properties of blockchain? There are four key features of blockchain: decentralized systems, distributed ledger, safe, secure ecosystem, and minting. What is encryption? What is its role in blockchain? Data security always matters. So encryption is basically an approach that helps organizations to keep their data secure. So if we see this, there is some text, and that would be actually moving into the asymmetric algorithm. We have a private key and we have a public key that would interact with the database and then come back with the text again. So this process of encryption is like something which we are hiding the information. So the encrypted data is encoded or changed up to some extent before it is sent out of a network by the sender, and only authorized parties can access that information. So in blockchain, this approach is useful because it simply adds more to overall security and authenticity of blocks and helps to keep them secure. What do you mean by blocks in blockchain technology? Blockchain consists of lists of records. Such records are stored in blocks. So these blocks are in turn linked with other blocks and hence constitute a chain called blockchain. How does a block is recognized in the blockchain approach? So every block in this online ledger basically consists of a hash pointer, which acts as a link to the block which is prior to it, transaction data, and in fact a stamp of time as well. So is it possible to modify the data once it is written in a block? No, it's not possible to do so. In case any modification is required, the organization simply has to erase the information from all other books too. It is because of no other reason than this data must be given the extreme care while using the approach. So what are the block identifiers? In blockchain, blocks can be identified by block header hash and the block height. Is it possible in blockchain to remove one or more blocks from the networks? Yes, it can be done. There are times when only a specific portion of this online ledger is to be considered. So with the help of default options and filters, this can be easily done without making a lot of effort. So what exactly do you know about the security of a block? So well, a block or the entire blockchain is protected by a strong cryptographic hash algorithm. Each block has a unique hash pointer. Any modification in the block constitutes will result in the change in the hash identifiers of the block. Therefore, it offers an excellent level of security. Thus, one needs not to worry about the safety as well as the security of the data that is present in the block. What are Merkle trees? How important are Merkle trees in blockchain? Merkle trees, also known as hash tree, is a data structure in cryptography in which each leaf node is a hash of a block of data and each non-leaf node is a hash of its child nodes. And of course, yeah, it's very important. The Merkle trees is extremely important when it comes to the blockchain's concept. So we have here a block 16, block 17, and block 18. And okay, my apologies for not giving a clear picture here. I'll try to do more clear pictures in the next sessions. Okay, so we have Merkle tree here. The Merkle tree is actually making a combination of data coming from various blocks here and Merkle root. So the benefit of using the Merkle tree in blockchain is that instead of downloading every transaction and every block, a light client can only download the chain of block headers. So also if someone needs to verify the existence of a specific transaction in a blockchain, then he doesn't have to download the entire block. Downloading a branch of this tree which contains this transaction is enough. So we check the hashes which are just going up the branch relevant to any particular transaction. If these hashes check out good, then we know that this particular transaction exists in this block. So what is a ledger? Is blockchain an incorruptible ledger? Blockchain is considered incorruptible. Any ill-intentioned individual acting alone is powerless. So to take over the network, an attacker would have to control more than 50% of its total computing power. Augier explains, we hope that's a theoretical scenario, but we can't be sure. Should it happen, the individual would take every precaution to avoid being noticed. So not to mention the energy required to power the computers needed for the blockchain system to work. So name the common type of ledgers that can be considered by users in blockchain. So we have a decentralized network, we have centralized network, decentralized network, and distributed network. So in a centralized network, we have the image. By the image, we can make it out like a centralized, decentralized, and distributed networks. How they would work. How is a blockchain ledger different from an ordinary one? So the first and in fact the prime for the difference is blockchain is a digital ledger that can be decentralized very easily. The chances of errors in this approach are far less than in an ordinary ledger. An ordinary ledger is what that is prepared by hands or by humans efforts, while the blockchain performs all its tasks automatically. So you just need to configure it in a proper manner and by following all the guidelines. Efforts while the blockchain performs all its tasks automatically. You just need to configure it in a proper manner and by following all the guidelines. So what type of records can be kept in a blockchain? Is there any restriction on the same? So there is no restriction on keeping records of any type in the blockchain. Industries are using blockchain for securing all types of records. So the common types of records, to name a few that can be kept on the blockchain, are like records of medical transactions, identity management, transaction processing, business transactions, management activities, and documentation as well. So a distributed digital ledger is used for recording transaction in a blockchain. So what does the system rely on? The system relies on network servicing protocol and the nodes of the network. Can you explain the components of a blockchain ecosystem? So following are the components of a blockchain ecosystem. So we have a shared ledger, we have a virtual machine, we have a node application, and we have a consensus algorithm. So I'll start with the virtual machine, an abstraction of a machine operated with instructions and implemented as a part of the node application that every participant in the ecosystem runs. Then we have the shared ledger. Data structure ledger is managed inside the node application. Contents for the ecosystem can be viewed once the node application is in running state. And then we have the consensus algorithm. So basically the consensus algorithm sits above the virtual machine. So implemented as a part of the node application, provides the rule for how the ecosystem will arrive at a single view of the ledger. A node application, we have each node have to install and run a computer application definitive to the ecosystem they wish to participate in. So example, in Bitcoin ecosystem, each computer must be running with Bitcoin wallet. State difference between proof of work and proof of stake. So from here, from the proof of work to proof of stake, yeah, so the basically, like, we have something like proof of work and proof of stake. So the probability of mining a block depends on the amount of work a miner does. Takes more energy than proof of stake. And one example in mining, which uses computer cycle time to validate new transactions. And whereas in stakeholders, like proof of stake, we have the stakeholders validate new blocks by utilizing their share of coins on the network. The first example of proof of stake was Peercoin. A user would need to own a majority of all coins in order to attack the network. So name some popular platforms for developing blockchain applications. After the development of Bitcoin, various blockchain platforms started coming up. So Ethereum came right after the evolution of Bitcoins and is one of the most popular public platforms for building blockchain based applications. Then there is a Hyperledger community for building enterprise based solution. Also Qtum, IOTA, EOS are some of the widely used platforms for building blockchains. What is double spending? Is it possible to double spend in a blockchain system? It's a condition when one original token is spent multiple times because the token generally consists of digital file that can be easily be cloned. So it simply leads to inflation and organizations must bear a huge loss. One of the primary aims of blockchain technology is to eliminate this approach to the possible extent. So blockchain prevents double spending by confirming a transaction by multiple parties before the actual transaction is written on the ledger. It's no exaggeration to say that the entirety of block coins exist. Blockchain system of blockchain mining proof of work, difficulty exists to produce is this history of transaction that is computationally impractical to modify. So I'm going to continue from here in the next session. And if you would like to follow more of the videos on blockchain or any other technology in our Jade Softech University, you can subscribe to us at www.youtube.com/JadeSoftech. That's our YouTube channel. And you can also follow us on Facebook. And for blockchain training, you can contact us at info@jsoftech.com.